A lot of young people have questions about issues of sexuality. And one of the big ones of today is the issue of same-sex relationships, of GLBT, and all of these different issues that have to do with those who are attracted to somebody who has the same sex and might have a sexual relationship with them. And I think some of the accusations are a little over the top when it comes to accusing the Catholic Church of holding a certain positions. And I think it's only because of a natural inclination to understand in a wrong way what the Catholic Church is doing. And so this natural inclination is, well, I see it as an imposition that the Catholic Church is saying these people are bad. And that's not what the Catholic Church is saying. So we have to be clear about that. What the Catholic Church is saying is we love everybody, just like Jesus did. And if you look at the person of Jesus Christ honestly in the Gospels, what did he do? When he approached somebody who he thought was living in a way that wasn't what was best for them, he would challenge them. And he didn't do so because he was morally superior. He did so because he thought this is best for you to live in this way. And it didn't matter what that person was doing. If they were a tax collector and they were cheating the people that were collecting taxes, what would he say? Stop cheating them. If it was a soldier who had men under him and he was being mean to those men, he would say, stop being mean to them, treat them justly. If it was somebody who was a prostitute, he'd say, stop prostituting yourself out. And if it was somebody who was having sex with somebody of the same sex, he would say, stop having sex with them. Because it's not in the context of what marriage is. And marriage is that which joins one man and one woman together for life till death do us part. Now, why one man and one woman? Why are you Catholics saying, I can't love somebody else? Well, here's the false distinction that we've made in our culture today. It's that love is something that I create and I do by myself. And that's not what love is. Love, again, as I always define it, is choosing what's best for the other despite what it costs me. So it comes with sacrifice, and it comes with a choice. It's not just a feeling, it's not just sex. And so we're not telling you to stop loving somebody. In fact, we're telling you love them. And in fact, we would say love them better. Love them with all you are. Now, the argument is, well, you're saying that they can't have sex together, and that's not a loving act. Well, I would say it is a loving act because it's a way two people can express themselves and their love. And I would say sex can be an expression of love if it's done in the proper context. And let me ask you this question. If you were to meet somebody you didn't know, and you talked to them for 2 minutes, and you decided to have sex together, and you had a one-night stand and you hooked up, is that love? Most people would say no. The vast majority of people would say, no, that's not love. It was just a selfish act that we did because it felt good, and it was for pleasure. Well, I think everybody would agree with that. And I would say that there's no worse thing that two people can do than to say, I don't want to love you. And I'm just going to use you. In fact, that's the opposite of love, is to use another human being. And we can easily fall into this mindset of use of another human being when it comes to sex, because all of us are sexually oriented human beings. All of us are wired sexually. And if we deny that, then we've denied a core part of who we are as human beings. And so a priest who is celibate, a religious sister who's celibate, is a sexual human being. And they're not just, oh, they're tamping it down and they're not expressing themselves sexually. No. In fact, what they do is they offer their sexuality to God as a gift. And every human being until they get married is called to do the same. I was called to do the same, and I did so imperfectly, which is part of the problem I had. As a sexual human being, I was expressing myself in a way that wasn't healthy for me before I got married. So there are times when all of us have messed up, and we're not saying to a man or a woman who has an attraction to a same-sex person, another person who is of the same sex, we're not saying to them, you're wrong, you're less of a human being, you're less lovable, or that you can't love another human being. All we're saying is, you're just like us. You're just like me. We're all broken sinners, and we're all called to this higher love of emptying ourselves out for the other person. We're all called to that. I'm called to love everybody I meet as much as I possibly can, just as you are. And any act of sexuality that is done outside of one man and one woman bonded together for life, with an openness to children and their fertility, which is naturally ordered there, with that, anything outside of that is going to be wrong and not good for them. And why is that? Because marriage is not just about two people who get to come together and bond together forever. And that's not what it's about. It's about two people who come together for two purposes. One, to be a sign of God. To be a man and a woman and their children as their offspring are a sign of the Trinity. See, God as Father is the giver of love. Just as a man initiates love with a woman, He's the giver. And if we think about the physical act of sex between a man and a woman, we can see this. And the woman is the receptor, just as Jesus Christ received all of who God the Father was. And He took all of that divinity and it took Him upon Himself. And in giving and receiving, this is what we call love. The definition of love is gift of self, of choosing that other person. And the Father chose Christ, and Christ accepted the gift, and He chose the Father and gave it back. And between them, their love was so powerful, we have the Holy Spirit, who is the love between the Father and the Son. Just like a child is the offspring of the love between a man and a woman. It springs forth, it showers out the love when a unique individual human being is created in this sexual bond. This is why sex is so powerful. The most powerful thing two human beings can do, because it's creative. And when it's open to life, sex is creative. And it's not only that, but when you're open to life and you have this ability between one man and one woman to create life in this permanent bond that God has brought together and sealed, then it's worship of God. So now we can see that it's got this high calling of worship of God and openness to life and this fruitfulness, this fullness of love that's life-giving and all of these other aspects to it. Now we can see why the Catholic Church says anything outside of that is taking sex and making it something less than what it's supposed to be. It doesn't bond people together like it's supposed to in this kind of relationship, and it doesn't bring them together. So this is why pornography is so terrible, because what it does is it separates sex from its real meaning of bonding people together and of creating life. It's the twofold purpose of sex, of bonding people together and creating life. And only in the permanent sacramental bond of marriage is that truly made incarnate. Only there can it be made incarnate. And so this is why we say that gay sex and same-sex marriage are not good for people, because it's taking something that God has created to be so wonderful and beautiful and worship of God, and it's taking it to something less than that. And so when we say, oh, we oppose same-sex marriage, well, no, it's not because we oppose the people themselves. We oppose it because it's a redefinition of what is truly marriage. What marriage truly is. And so we say it's not about rejecting any individual human being. It's a love of another person. Because if I think somebody's doing something that's not good for them and I don't speak up about it, then that's not love. To love somebody is to say, I love you enough to say, I think this isn't the healthiest way to live your life, the best way to live your life. And I would hope others would do the same with me. And that's what we do with this issue. And it's not trying to impose anything upon anybody. It's proposing this is what we think is best for you and for relationships. And that's where we're coming from as a Catholic Church.